welcome into Sports Tonight. Emily Gagnon here with Ellie Parker. I don't know what that.
That's a new one. That's a new one.
Anyways, July 31st, the last day in July. Welcome into Sports Tonight. We continue to talk about a lot of similar things. However, ever evolving every day, right? Falcons training camp, second day of fully padded practice today. They lost power overnight, so that was pretty interesting. So players, they're obviously staying on campus. They're staying at the facility. They lost power, and their dorms got so warm that
Ugh.
I want to say I've never heard of this since I've been here, that players were actually allowed to go home if they wanted to.
I
Go home
definitely
to
would.
air conditioning.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't blame them.
Because it's going to
all
feel.
day.
Yeah, you've been in the heat all day. Tomorrow it will feel like it is 105.
Yeah.
It's going to be about 95, but it will feel about 10 degrees warmer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get that.
I don't blame him. Kirk Cousins, the quarterback, said he'd gotten his air-conditioned car and with his air-conditioned home, and he came back today. He said he might have been able to brave it, but he decided not to. These guys, I don't blame it. I think I probably would have been able to do it, even though I put my AC on 68, 69 every night.
No. I could not. No. Nuh-uh.
For these bigger, more athletic gentlemen, I feel like the AC
I
is
cannot. I
necessary.
cannot do
You would
without
have to-
AC in this weather.
Would have been like, I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm outie. All right, well, let's hear. Yesterday, you guys heard a little bit from Arthur Blank. Let's hear a little bit more from the owner of the Falcons, who is just so excited because expectations are so incredibly high for this team this season.
The fans been excited about the season with
Yeah.
the sellouts. But can you talk about how excited you are about
Yeah.
this upcoming season?
Yeah, I'm always, look, if you talk to 31 other owners, they're all excited. It's the beauty of one of the beauties of the NFL is that, during these months of training camp and you get into preseason, fans across the United States and now actually throughout the world, but certainly the United States, minimally, are very excited about their teams. So I think, objectively, I think if you look at our team, our roster, the improvements we made in free agency, the quality of the draft picks, the quality of the aging of our draft picks and free agents over the last several years. I think when I look at our defensive line, when I look at our skill positions on offense, I look at our quarterback room now, I look at our young defensive players. So I'm excited about, for all the right reasons, about where we are. But we have a very competitive schedule. Going through it just last night again, and the way we're starting out and throughout the year. I mean, we have to compete in our own division. We got to win our own division. We got to be able to compete with other teams in the NFC, and hopefully move on and play in the playoffs and do that successfully. But there's a lot that can slip between the cup and the lip, and our guys are pumped and ready to go, and coaches are. Raheem's done a great job. Jimmy Lake's done a great job. Zach Robinson. Maurice, I mean, we've got great coordinators and we got great coaching staff behind them. Raheem's built, I think, an outstanding coaching staff that has some depth to it. So I have reason to be enthused and excited beyond just being the owner for the fans. And that's how I consider myself. I represent the fans. So every decision I always make, it's always in the context through the lens of what's the best thing for our fans. Today, tomorrow, but also beyond tomorrow. And it's one thing, as an owner, you've got to think not just about today and tomorrow, but really beyond tomorrow. So hence you end up thinking about, well, what happens you don't end up with a gap in your quarterback play in the future. So
You listen to the fans, they expect Arthur to be in the playoffs. Do you?
our fans fully do, and my hope was that we'll be in the playoffs. I mean, I have every reason to think that we're going to be very competitive this year, but, I mean, we got to play the schedule. We got to play the teams, and we got to make it happen. So, am I optimistic? I'm definitely optimistic. Certainly more optimistic than I've been in several years, and have reason to feel that way. But again, every game is a battle. Every game is the other team has got a lot of great talent, very good coaching, had lots of reasons to compete against. So, first game out of the box, we're playing against our old coach. So with creative mind and some creative talent. So it's going to be an interesting season in all ways.
Grady Jarrett is going into year
Yeah.
10 with this organization. I'm just curious if you could surmise what he's meant over a decade to this franchise.
Well, it's interesting. When we drafted Grady, I'm trying to think, it was fifth or sixth round. Fifth round, thank you. So, he was captain of the team at Clemson. So I'd say that, the attributes that he had at Clemson, being, a great player there and a great leader there, all of those have carried over here. And I would say even have multiplied. There's no question he's an outstanding athlete. He's an outstanding leader. There's probably nobody on the team that works harder than him. There's probably nobody on the team that's a better role model in every aspect that we ask our Falcons to be, not just on the field, but off the field. His community work is incredible. Just told me a few minutes ago he's getting married next year, so I'm excited for that. And but he's just he's one of these folks you spend time with during your life and you never forget him. So we're blessed to have Grady and provide the kind of leadership that he will bring to us and does bring to us.
Earlier this morning during Coach Marsh's press conference, he
sorry.
sang your praises. He was saying thank you for all of the tools that you put in place to allow them to do what they do on the field. Your thoughts on some of the things that the Jumbotrons outside, the new weight room, all the things that
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, it's a tribute to two things. One, it's a recognition of one of our key values. So, it is either the best or nothing. So we committed to doing that in every way and committed to listening to our players, understanding our players, respecting our players, and responding to our players. So the additions that you see in the building this year, in the weight room, and I just had a chance to tour it, and the cafeteria area and the equipment areas, et cetera, are incredible. I mean, it's a tribute to our staff here to have pulled it off in such a short period of time. I do apologize to the fans. We didn't have training camp back here this year, and I told our staff already, for next year they can expect us to double up on open camps for our fans. But in any event, I mean, that's what we're about, is that we want to understand what our players need and want and what necessitates putting them in the best position so they can train properly and perform properly. And we've been happy to be able to do it in a first-class way. If you all haven't had a chance to tour some of this stuff, you ought to get one of our staff to take you around. It's very impressive. It's neat.
It was more of a collaboration. Hey, here's what they've done here in Atlanta. Here's what we've done in LA. How can we mesh that thing together? I think it's coming together. Certainly a work in progress, but I've been learning a ton from him, and we're definitely very collaborative with all those guys and Flats and Nick Jones as well in that room. So it's been a good collaboration. Got a long way to go, but definitely off to a good start with those guys.
Last couple of years in LA, y'all sort of went back and forth between main styles of run game, right? Is that fair to say?
I would say, yeah, that's fair. I mean, we've,
Tried a little bit of everything.
Sure, yeah, you're always evolving and adapting to your personnel. And so I think, based personnel driven, in 2019, it looked a lot different than last season based on personnel. So you're always constantly evolving, adapting, tailoring things to what your guys do well as what's going around the league. So that will always be evolving and adapting.
When the pads are on, what are you specifically looking at from the offense?
Physicality, assignment, getting off on the snap. There was a lot of pre-snap penalties today that we got to clean up. First day in pads, off day. There's some built-in excuses, but we can't have those. But yeah, it's just physicality, coming off the rock, speed off the ball, and making sure that we're targeting to the right people and making sure the receivers are involved in the run game as well.
And then when you see players, get involved, little skirmish, or everything, I know we're used to seeing that, but how do you cipher between it as far as keeping them away from that, but at the same time, you still want that aggression?
Yeah, you want to protect your guys, and I think, Raheem and, Jerry Gray, that's kind of their job to monitor that. We certainly want our guys to play physical, but understand, hey, let's protect our guys. First day in pads, it's inevitable. I mean, guys are juiced up, so definitely got to find that right balance. I think we will as we get the pads going a little bit more, but first day in pads, I mean, those guys are juiced up.
Zach, Raheem talked about the toughness of Drake London earlier, kind of talking about, what he's able to do out in the field and what he brings when he kind of turns it on. From your role, what have you seen from him and kind of talking about that toughness there?
Yeah, 100%. There's really nothing that Drake can't do from a, receiver standpoint. He has every route, he has every tool. And then in the run game, he's a weapon. So we'll definitely utilize some of his strengths. I mean, you watch the tape of years past, and I remember even just watching him coming out of USC. You loved the physicality. You loved the dog mentality that he plays with. He brings that every single day. So he's going to help us in the pass game and the run game and every facet.
I really like the implementation of the GoPro. Can you kind of explain the origins of that and why y'all like using that?
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's I think we all saw the Dolphins do it last year on Hard Knocks with Tua. Thought it was a cool deal, and then our video guys kind of mentioned it, and TJ Yates and DJ have kind of been handling that. But it's great for the communication for the quarterbacks. You're not getting to see a ton of, it's moving so fast, but you can definitely see where are their eyes pre-snap and their reads and everything. So it's cool, but I think the biggest tool is just hearing the communication, how those guys are getting in and out of the huddle. I know it's big for Mike as a young guy, just learning the process of what it's supposed to sound like in the huddle.
We were talking to Darnell and Ray the other day, and they were saying that this has basically been the most they've ever had to try to kind of cram in terms of just on the mental side of it, knowing the scheme heading into the season. How do you feel like they're kind of picking everything up so far?
They've been great. We basically took the approach of we're picking up where we left off in the spring instead of starting over. And so those guys have handled it well. We have a bunch of smart guys, very conscientious. We're up and rolling pretty good. We still have, a few facets of the game, a few phases of the game rather to get to. But we're up and rolling pretty good. We got to find out what our guys do really well. And so we basically took the approach of let's just pick back up, right where we left off in the spring.
Coach, do you have to kind of gauge if the team and the players have the capability to kind of put that much on their plate for them to pick up? And how much does Kirk kind of play into that just as the leader of that offense?
Yeah, Kirk's a huge help. Having years of experience in the system, it's a little bit different, and there's some things that we call different, certainly. But Kirk being able to talk to those guys one-on-one when they're staying out in the dorms, hey, here's what this is. And so that's a huge part, and you're always – making sure you're not throwing too much at the guys, but we felt like we were in a good spot to where we can just kind of pick back up, and the guys have handled it really well. Execution the first couple of days was probably a little bit better today, just overall operation-wise, but they're handling it really well.
What gave you that indication of these guys could handle more on their plate at this point in time?
I think dating back to the spring, even the first couple of practices in the spring, guys realize how we're going to play, how much we're going to move, how much we're going to motion, the tempo of what those are going to look like. And so once they found out that from day one, we weren't just lining up static and running base plays, we were basically moving a bunch, day one, even going back to veteran minicamp. And so you go throughout the spring and you realize guys are handling it pretty well. And so that's where we felt like that approach was going to be beneficial.
What or who stood out to you during the red zone one-on-one and 11-on-11?
Ooh, good question. Red zone one-on-ones, Kyle looked good, and Kyle Pitts looked good in the red zone one-on-ones. And then the 11-11, we had a decent amount of runs there. We had a couple drops there, when we did throw the football. But I thought the runs looked pretty clean down there. And then, Kyle and the one-on-ones looked pretty good.
All right. Falcons continue training camp throughout the week, next week. But their first preseason game's coming up. That'll be our first look into really into the other quarterback other than Kirk Cousins, because the Falcons have already said he will not be taking any snaps during the preseason. So if you want Cousins, you don't get to see him until week 1 against Pittsburgh, against their former head coach, the Falcons' former head coach, who's now OC.
Good luck, Steelers.
Over there. So, but hey, that's how he got the job. Okay, he got the job here as head coach because he did such a good job as OC in Tennessee. But he did a good job there, right? Yeah.
He did a lovely job as offensive.
Come on.
He did a lovely job as offensive coordinator, but then quickly showed he did not know what he was doing when he became the head coach of the Falcons. I think that was more of a fluke year than anything else.
But do we think he might do all right in Pittsburgh as OC there?
Emily asked if I thought he might do all right in Pittsburgh. There's a small chance, like a 5% chance. But I think what we have seen over the past 2 or 3 years will tell us
Brett
otherwise.
and I are Haters.
Well, calm down, everybody.
Arthur Smith haters.
You still have the head coach who's like a legend, basically, right?
There have been fewer Steeler head coaches since the franchise has existed than there have been Catholic popes.
Well, if that tells you anything.
That this franchise just refuses to turn over head coaches. Mike Tomlin has been the head coach for like almost 20 years at this point.
But could we argue that he's done all right?
Sure. Sure. We'll say, sure, he's done all right, but...
Okay, so you're not a huge fan.
No.
All right, so that's when we will see Kirk Cousins for the first time on a field playing in a Falcons uniform, like in a game that matters, which will be week 1. Until then, and we don't even know the plan yet for Michael Penix Jr. So what if they decide not even to play him and just to play what's his face?
Oh boy. If they don't play Michael Penix Jr. at any point in the preseason.
And they just play Heineke, just to give you a little bit more of last season, just to see how he'd do as number 3.
Oh boy.
All over again.
Oh
Well, okay,
boy.
we won't go there. But anyways, keeping with soccer or keeping with football, but soccer. Yesterday we know Alexi.
Baranchuk
There we go.
was announced as a transfer to Atlanta United from Atalanta,
Atalanta. It's not
an
it's not
Italian
an
side. And yesterday, a couple reporters got to talk to technical director of Atlanta United, Carlos Bocanegra, about that particular transfer, the other moves that this club is making during the transfer window, and the hopes that he has for the Five Stripes in the back half of the season, and any hopes that they might have of making the MLS Cup playoffs.
Questions for you, please. A question I keep getting asked is, because the player is Russian, is there going to be any difficulties with the transfer or the visa process? And second, what specifically did you like about him?
Yeah, so with Alexi, just the type of player he is, we feel he can score, create goals. Just he's a creative attacking player that we hope can drive the team forward, and really just a player with experience. Playing in a top European league, playing Europa Leagues, Champions League games. Just someone who comes in that can shoulder a little bit of the burden, so to speak, for our club. So we're really excited about that and his abilities on the field. And with as far as visa and work permits and all those things, it's always a process of getting players into the country. So it should be no different here. Obviously, we did a lot of research with, NHL, and, I think they have over 66 players from Russia playing here in the league. So we don't foresee any challenges, and that was something we tried to get out ahead of with our due diligence, not only for him, but when we recruit every player.
Go to Joe. Joe Patrick, go ahead, Joe. Joe, can you hear me?
Sorry, I'm on my phone, so hard to find the unmute button there. Carlos, just can you just talk about how you foresee Alexi kind of just fitting into the team and how he will kind of fit in the tactical system? What kind of role will he have?
Yeah, so when speaking with him, we talked about him coming in and being an attacking midfielder, more of that number 10 role. He can play off the wing and come inside. He can play kind of anywhere across the front three. He's not really a striker, but he can play anywhere across that front three or underneath the forward. So he has that ability to be flexible, and we want to give him that space. And speaking with Rob, kind of how he wants to play as well right now, just letting Alexi have a little bit more of that freedom in the number 10 role, where he can go and find the ball and help drive our attack. So that was really the conversation about how we would look to utilize him here.
If I could just follow up, and just, you kind of started touching there on it at the end, but would you anticipate him being as kind of ball dominant as a player like Thiago Almada was, where in that number 10 position, where he's going to be the one who's looking for the ball, showing for the ball, trying to progress the team forward into the attacking areas?
I think we'd like to see a mix of that with Alexi. I think he's comfortable getting the ball with somebody on his back or under pressure and, can make a little yard of space or wiggle out of trouble to relieve some pressure for the team. But we also want to see him higher up the field in spaces where he can go and hurt the other team, because that's where we think he's the most dangerous. So we'd like to see a little bit of a balance where he's helping us progress the ball, but also not always coming back too deep to be the only one progressing it, so to speak.
Thank you.
Doug?
Yeah, Carlos, can you provide any updates on the search to replace Giacomakis, and would it be more or less likely y'all are going to be able to sign an impactful player by the end of the transfer window in 15 days?
Yep. So we're definitely looking to bring in one more attacking player here before the end of the window, and we feel confident we'll be able to do that. So hopefully we'll have an announcement here shortly, and obviously someone that we think will pair very well with Alexi, as well as the rest of the team. Saba has been doing an excellent job getting in behind someone that can combine with Shande, so on and so on. But obviously, with a player of Alexi's quality, we definitely want to make sure it's somebody that pairs well with him.
Rob Usry, go ahead, Rob.
Hey, Carlos. Garth went on the radio earlier today after the signing and was very optimistic about it, saying that maybe the team is out of the dark period and on the way up. What would you say fans' realistic expectations for the season should be, and what are your expectations after a signing like this and after this window for this season and onwards?
Yeah, we're excited. Look, we've got to continue to build on some of the momentum. Taking points off a very good Columbus Crew team, obviously, gives some confidence to the group. And with a player like Alexi giving us a little bit of a boost, and hopefully, like we talked about earlier, one more, impactful attacking player, we feel good about our chances and into the end of the season. So what we'd like to do is, this season for us, making the playoffs and going on a run and really trying to compete. We feel like we have a good group. We haven't been able to put it together consistently through the year, but with a little bit of help here coming in and some reinforcement, so to speak, we're looking forward to that. Now, originally our goals were to try to finish in top 4 in the East at the beginning of the season. I think that's probably not going to be able to happen this year, unfortunately, Rob, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to continue to try and go on a run. And we feel good about this group, and with these 2 impactful pieces coming in, obviously right now we're speaking about Alexi. We think that that's going to give us that boost to get into the playoffs and go cause some trouble.
Carlos Bocanegra, Atlanta United's technical director, who has been there since day one.
Yeah.
There's never been a change there. He's kind of
much
like,
to the chagrin of many Atlanta United
like
fans.
Though? Like he played for the U.S. men's national team.
Yes.
He's been there, done that. Well respected.
Mm-hmm.
And I give him props for hanging in there for the highs and the lows of what the club's gone through. And there needs to be stability somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, he's able to stick around in Marietta for
quite some
long
time.
he wants. Yep. But and I think we should mention this, Ellie. Club America and
Chelsea are
at
kicking
the
off
tonight.
almost in 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, I know.
At the Benz.
7:30. I'm not sure. Yeah. At the Benz. So
It is tonight. It is very soon as we're on air. So yeah.
Go soccer.
Go soccer.
Go team. What else are we doing with the Go team?
It's my time.
It's your time to shine, Ellie. Go Olympics. Take it away.
Katie Ledecky is the greatest female swimmer to ever step into a swimming pool. She crushed the 1500 freestyle this afternoon. Absolutely crushed it.
Was she the best before, or this solidified it?
She was the best before, but if anybody had any doubts,
if there were any questions,
NBC had to change their camera angle to get everybody else in the pool because she was so far ahead of everybody else. She beat the silver medalist by 10 seconds. That's nuts.
She's a fishy.
She has the 20 fastest recorded times in the 1,500-meter freestyle ever. It's just Katie Ledecky,
To explain that, she keeps
on
beating
down
her own
to the
record.
20th fastest time. This woman is insane.
Yeah, she's pretty good. Pretty good. But yeah, I mean, obviously you watched that live, or you went back and watched
I went
it?
back and watched it. Just, oh my God. Oh my God, this woman.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome, right? You're literally trying to beat yourself. That's
Yeah,
that's what
yeah. She set an Olympic record in the
jumps in a pool,
final.
and that's what she does. She just wants to beat herself.
She is in a class all her own. She has been for a very long time by competitive swimming standards. She is pretty much the female Michael Phelps. It is.
Do you know how many medals he has? I
He
don't know that.
he won 28 Olympic medals
Do you know how
in
many
his
she
career.
has?
She has 12, 8 golds,
So she's
and so this 1,500-meter freestyle medal tied the record for the most golds by an American female swimmer at 8. She will very likely eclipse that at some point.
Yeah. How old can you go for that? Remember yesterday we were talking about age for gymnasts.
I mean, Simone Biles is quite old for a gymnast, frankly, but she's just going to go as long as she can.
And in swimming.
Swimming?
I think you can. I think that's not as hard on your body as gymnastics,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So.
And Katie Ledecky is also 27.
Oh.
So, at least as far as Olympic athletes go, she might be getting up there. But again, there's probably that lure of 2028's on home soil. She's Katie Ledecky.
Yeah.
She's, one of the most famous active U.S. Olympians. So there's probably that pull of maybe this one more shot just to do it in front of the home crowd. Maybe.
Why not?
I wouldn't be
Let's do it
surprised.
to it. Yeah.
Speaking of other Olympic events,
Yep.
the U.S. men's national team,
Take it
the
away.
U.S. men's national basketball team, for once crushed South Sudan. And the South Sudan national basketball team is a wonderful story. South Sudan has been an independent country, for less than 15 years. It gained independence in 2011. There are a grand total of 0 basketball courts in that country. That program is run by former NBA player Luol Deng. And it's just been a wonderful story for them.
From what I understand, he has fully funded the team with his own.
It's him. It's
money
him. Yeah.
Since they started, like every dollar, everything has
Yes.
been all him because of his NBA career. That has allotted him some money.
So, yeah, just a wonderful story. U.S. moving on to the quarterfinals of the basketball tournament. And we'll see how that goes.
The Braves.
Do
it to it today.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
Matt
Braves.
Olson and Travis Darno finally showed up.
Oh, look at you.
They both
Like
hit.
a little slow burn there.
They both hit 2 home runs. So
Wait, back to back.
back-to-back home runs.
So 2 back to back to back. So like back and then back. It was the first time they've done that, and I don't know how. There was a
Yeah.
stat. The Braves have the stat out there. It's been a while since that's happened.
So, hey, the Braves actually won a game.
And then they come back here.
Mhm.
Okay. And they're celebrating Hank Aaron week. So anytime we get to talk about Hank Aaron, that's a great thing. And they play
All right.
Miami. Nuh-uh. I have
As we leave, what's on your mind?
nothing. I've got nothing on my mind. I'm doing this to you on purpose because you did this.
Okay, fine. I do actually have something on my mind today.
Okay.
An Italian long jumper lost his wedding ring in the Seine during the opening ceremony, and his response to his wife is one of the cutest things I have ever read. He wrote on Instagram, "Maybe we can throw your ring in the Seine too, so that they will be there forever. And as you have always wanted, renew our vows and get married again." One of the most romantic things I have ever heard. I can only plead to have a relationship like
If you're
that.
the wife, you can't even be mad about that, right? Like you can't even.
I
be mad.
no, you can't.
You're like, all right, baby, let's do that. Let's do it again.
Oh my God, this
Forever
man is so
intense.
romantic.
Yes. All right, guys. We're out of here.